Okay, so good day. So this will be our first topic for the midterms, and we will be talking about the uh, different stages of creativity or the creative process. So according to this, okay, developing entrepreneurial capacity, entrepreneurs need to use their knowledge and experience to turn ideas into market opportunities. This means understanding industries, markets, customers, and specific areas of interest. It's about turning unusual ideas into real possibilities. So it uh, it is noted that entrepreneurs need to use two things, knowledge and experience. So if you just know the theories, it would still be better if you will know the technical know-how or the actual experience in running a business or the actual experience about that certain uh, industry. So, for example, let's say, for example, you are a medical student, okay, or you are a graduate of a medical allied course like BS Biology, for example. Okay, so we all know that, okay, you graduated and then you got your license. Um, you were a medical technologist by profession. Um, because aside from what you have learned in the classroom, you also, it's further strengthened um, if you already have your license. So, but is that enough? So you may know you may know the theories about um, being a medical technologist, but you still need the actual experience of drawing out blood or running the tests, right? So that is why you have your internship period. Um, Aside from that, you need to also have the actual experience, let's say in a hospital, so that you would also know the processes about the protocols in a hospital setup. So if you wanted to put up your own diagnostic center, like diagnostic center, like you will be running tests, not a how to call this one? Yeah, the diagnostic center um outside the hospital, like a third party one, for example, Alliance Diagnostic Center, uh like stool analysis, urinalysis, what else? Um Blood tests, something like that. At least you will know you already had the um actual experience in the hospital, and you already know how they handle waste, what is the process in in admitting patients or something like that, right? Also about their record keeping. At least when you run your own business, you need to really have both knowledge, okay, or the theories, and somehow experienced it um in the actual setup. Okay, so that's it. But entrepreneurship isn't just about having knowledge, it's about learning from experience. There you go. Because um, what you have learned in the classroom is really not enough. Like, let's say, for example, for example, for the marketing majors, we may have simulations about handling customers, like role plays about handling customer complaints. But if you are out there, you will really meet a legit or a real elderly person who is having a hard time with the product or complaining, or maybe a very bossy customer. or a very irate customer, and complaining about things and things, like, so, or different, or minute problems or small problems that are not really that important, but yeah, they're still the customers, and it's your job to accommodate them, right? So again, we may practice in classroom, but the nervousness, the actual tone of your voice would somehow matter really in the real setup. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so we have different steps in turning an experience into entrepreneurial insight. First is the my knowledge accumulation. So of course you have to read a lot, do your research, need to absorb information, know the technical know-how of that certain industry. So you really need to study a lot so that you will know the basics. Then after that, you will proceed to phase two, which is mind incubation. So after you have worked so hard, after you studied so hard, it's time for your mind to relax. Do some relaxing activities, like you need to exercise, or maybe have a break, go to a travel destination, or somewhere that could give you peace. And then after that, once your brain has already relaxed, then suddenly it will come to your mind. A solution will come to your mind. The aha moment. Okay? And last one, the evaluation and implementation. Of course, you have to test and refine. You have to see whether the solution that you have thought is really effective in solving the problem or not. So if it's not, then you have to go back, go back to the drawing board, or you have to go back to step one. So uh, evaluate it. Was it really helpful, or was it really the solution to the problem, or are there other considerations that we have to plan things, or that we have to plan, or other things that we should do something about it before, or I mean, to be 100% successful. Okay, so that is the phase four. So there you go. This is the creative process. So incubation, ideas, evaluation, and no, yeah. First is knowledge, incubation, and then ideas, and then evaluate. Now, successful entrepreneurs combine creative thinking with a systematic approach to problem solving. So they're always on the lookout for unique opportunities to meet people's needs and wants. What if, or and why not? Okay. So again, whenever there is a problem as an entrepreneur, you always have to think of opportunities. Uh, are there some things that we could exploit, right? So I do not know if I have shared with you before, but maybe you also noticed this one. Like during the pandemic era, like a lot of business people suddenly hoarded alcohol, and then alcohol, tissue, face mask, and then suddenly they will sell it at a very expensive price. But actually, that is not a good practice. But I think that's not a good example, but it's somehow an example of thinking at an opportunity, or um finding an opportunity amidst the problem. Okay, so you have to think out of the box. But again, for those people, it's of course unethical. May karma din yun. Okay? So let's not imitate them. Maybe we can do some other ways or some other opportunities wherein you are not ano, you are not doing things against ethics. Okay? So there you go. So the nature of creativity, everyone is creative to some degree. Some people are naturally more creative than others. Creativity can be learned and developed. Negative thinking can block creativity, and creativity thrives with support, resources, and a willingness to learn from mistakes. So there, yeah. As you know, we have different levels of creativity. I might be born more creative than my sibling. Like, let's say, for example, I may be born uh, who have, uh, I may be born with good drawing skills or superb drawing skills or painting skills compared with my sister who is more mathematically inclined. So again, the creativity has different or creativity levels vary for every person. Okay. Some people are naturally more creative than others. But but even though this happens, we should bear in mind that creativity can be learned and developed. So don't lose your hope. Like, let's say if you don't know how to draw, but you can still practice. You can do some, you can improve your skill. So again, creativity can be learned and developed. But of course, before doing such things, bear in mind that negative thinking can block creativity. So if you wanted to do something and you thought out of the box, um, and somebody criticizes you or or tells you that it's not that's really a bad idea or something like that, or doesn't support, uh you have to also, uh you should not be a negative thinker. If you really know that you can do it, then why not? But but you also have to consider whether uh they are helping you out. Maybe they have a better experience than you. Maybe you can also learn from them. So do not also block their ideas. Like, consider them as suggestions, and then maybe you can work around or think about a solution that could address those criticism from the experts. Okay? So again, do not dwell on their negative feedback. Instead, you have to think about the solution to that to turn it into positive. Okay. So there you go. Then developing your creativity, you need to also have lateral thinking. You have to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Okay. You need to ask why and why not. And find some connections that may seem unrelated and use the both sides of your brain, left and right brain. Creativity is a skill that can be improved with practice and positive mindset. How can entrepreneurs effectively blend? Okay, so this is, yeah, I think this will be your seat work next week. Take a look at the processes for the left brain and right brain. For the left brain, it's more verbal, analytical, abstract, rational, and logical, linear, while right hemisphere is nonverbal, synthesizing, and yeah, analogies, spatial. There. So you can read that one on how you could develop your left and right hemisphere skills. So again, if you were born with less creative or with a lesser amount of creativity, Don't lose hope because creativity can still be learned. It's just that you also have to be willing to learn or to improve your skill. Okay? Areas of creativity, unlocking your potential. So some people express it often while others hold it back. Many of us don't even realize how creative we can be. So according to the research, according to William Miller, we need to recognize all the ways we can be creative. So he has identified 7 arenas. First is idea creativity, coming up with new ideas like a new product, service, or solution to a problem. Material, building something tangible like a product, ad, report, or photograph. So organization, of course, be finding new ways to organize people, projects, and work processes to make it seamless, um, uh, like restructuring the team or changing policies, and relationship creativity, innovative ways to work with others, finding solutions that benefit everyone involved. And then unique events like awards, ceremonies, team outings, or meetings. Of course, if you are a very good events planner, that is really still being creative, you know, especially about the designs, about the activities, that's still being creative. Inner creativity is about changing your perspectives, finding new ways to do things, and looking at yourself and the world in a different way. And spontaneous, acting on a spontaneous or spur of the moment manner, such as coming up with a witty response in a meeting, an off-the-cut speech, a quick and simple way to settle a dispute, or an innovative appeal when trying to close a sale. So that's spontaneous creativity. It's not being practiced, on the spot, spur of the moment manner. Like he can crack a joke anytime. He can crack a joke. What without practicing, it comes out naturally. And also, if they could give an impromptu speech that is really very interactive or not boring, then that is spontaneous creativity. Okay, so there you go. The innovative process, a simplified guide. Innovation often starts with a deliberate search for new opportunities. To find these opportunities, innovators need to observe and analyze. Of course, look at the data, talk to people, think holistically. When you say holistic, complete. So you have to use both logical and creative thinking to develop solutions. Focus and simplify. By the way, about think holistically. That is why in the most functions of, I think all of the functions in business is being defined as both an art and a science because you really need to use both logic and creative thinking skills. And then focus and simplify. Uh, of course, make it simple and not complicated. Focused innovations that solve specific problems. So, what is disruptive innovation? One important theory of innovation is disruptive technology. So, this means creating a new product or service that serves a different market. It targets customers who are not currently being served by existing companies. So what's that? For example, um, Netflix is a disruptive technology. Why? Again, gone were the days when we used VHS CDs. Um, we rent we rent the tapes just to watch a film if we weren't able to watch it in the cinema. But because of Netflix, it's an online platform. We all know that. Yeah, it's an online platform wherein you can watch movies anytime at the comfort of your homes. And somehow it's also disruptive also to the cinema industry. What I mean is, like, if why should I go to the cinema if I could just wait for it to be shown in Netflix, right? So So it's somehow killing the current cinema industry. Okay. So that's also a problem. That is disruptive technology. Okay. Offers lower cost or performance. It may be less expensive or less powerful than existing products, but it meets the needs of a new market segment. So what are the key takeaways? Innovation is about finding solutions and creating new markets. Take a look at that. Take note of that. Innovation is about finding solutions to problems and creating new markets. Creating new markets, it doesn't serve the existing market, okay? Next one is disruptive innovation can challenge established companies by targeting underserved markets. And successful innovation requires a combination of observation, analysis, and creative thinking. We also have our types of innovation. We have invention, extension, duplication, and synthesis. For invention, it is creating something new, like a groundbreaking product, really new from the scratch. When you say an extension, it is expanding an existing product but applying it in a new way. Okay, next one is duplication, replicating an existing product, service, or process, but adding a unique twist to improve it and stand out from the competition. And synthesis, of course, it's the combination of the ideas, existing ideas and elements. So, common misconception about innovation. Okay, okay. So, uh, invention, extension, duplication, synthesis. So, what are some examples of invention? So one example, of course, is the very classic light bulb, which was invented by Thomas Edison. So while he improved upon existing ideas, Edison created the first commercially practical, long-lasting incandescent lighting system. And well, the, to be honest, yeah, it was really invented by Tesla. I know not Tesla, not Tesla. Oh my God, I forgot the not Tesla. No, no, no. Sorry about that. Um, oh my God, I forgot who. Nicholas Tesla, I think. Yeah, but it was being commercialized by Thomas Edison. So there you go. Yeah, that's why it says he improved upon existing ideas. So another one is, of course, the World Wide Web. It is really a new one. It's a new way to process information. So I think the World Wide Web was already invented as early as the 70s, but the computer was a really very big. It could, you know, it could occupy a whole room. So another one is for the extension. Um, One example is about Uber or ride-sharing apps. Why? Because it expanded from the idea of taxis, right? Like before before when there were no Uber rides yet, or there was no Uber or other ride-sharing apps yet, we were used to just hail a taxi along the way on the road, and then whoever will stop, we could hitch a ride. But it expanded into ride-sharing apps such as Uber, wherein you need to use an app, um, book a taxi so that the taxi can bring you to your destination. Another one is Airbnb. So it stemmed or expanded from the concept of hotels or renting a property or renting a room. So from there, it already became a digital platform wherein you can, have a digital viewing and then book it online. Another one is duplication. Next one is duplication or replicating an existing product. Um, One example is Google search. So of course we all know that Yahoo search was one of the oldest or was the first one search engine, but it was duplicated by Google. But uh, but it added something unique, which it provided a better service. So there, the algorithm, it was better. Um, the browser didn't just focus on being a browser. They partnered with um, Android devices. You can sign in using, you can sign in any website just using your email. It became more efficient, or it offered something very valuable, and not only just being a search engine. Another one is Facebook and Friendster. So Friendster was obsolete, but as a millennial, actually the first social media or social networking site was for me was Friendster. But then Facebook expanded. Here comes Facebook. So like Friendster started when I was in college, and then Facebook just started when I already graduated. But Facebook offered other services like games like Farmville or whatsoever. It also you can also share about your games, your games that you play on your Android devices, and share it to your Facebook wall until they introduced the marketplace and Facebook pages. So there you go. So as you know, yeah, the current Facebook has a lot of functions. Not, I mean, unlike the first one, which is Friendster, that you can just post pictures, um, give some testimonials. And I don't think there were articles during that time, but it's like more on really a community, a digital or a virtual community sharing about what they think about, you know, what else? Yeah, what they think about their photos, like an online album. Yeah, that was the most basic thing during those times. Okay. Next one is synthesis. Of course, from the word synthesis, it's a combination of everything. One example is the smartphone, wherein it combined a lot of functions like a mobile phone, a digital assistant, a personal assistant, a digicam, a music player, and so on and so forth. You can also um, use it as your, as a document reading device there. So that's a very classic example of synthesis. Another thing is fitness tracker like Fitbit, uh, Garmin, wherein it can act as a watch, a pedometer, a heart rate monitor. You can also play music using your fitness trackers there. So those are some examples of the types of innovation. Now, there are some common misconceptions uh, about innovation. So, innovation is planned and predictable. Actually, it's not. Innovation is often unpredictable and can come from anyone, not just a dedicated R&D department. So, one example is the invention of, I think, 3M sticky notes. Like they were trying to come up with a very strong adhesive, with the materials in mind they have, but they produced a weak adhesive. So from there, um they thought of just creating or using the adhesive to have or to produce some sticky notes, wherein or post-its, wherein you can just post a piece of paper everywhere without ripping it off or without damaging the paper. Okay? So that is oh my god, I forgot I forgot the term for that, but yeah, that's an example of a product or an innovation that was not planned. Another thing is technical specifications must be perfect. Thorough planning is good, but sometimes it's better to try, test, and revise an idea quickly. Innovation relies on dreams and fantasies. While creativity is important, successful innovators focus on real world opportunities, not just daydreams, of course. So, again, through observation, it's not only about being creative. We have mentioned that before. It's a combination of observation, creativity, and logical thinking, right? So, it is not only about creating something, you also have to see, or you also have to identify the need that you could answer or that you could satisfy. Okay. There. It's not just about daydreaming. Next one, big projects produce better innovations. Smaller teams often generate more creative ideas than large organizations. And technology is the only driver of innovation. So while technology is important, customer needs and market demands are the true drivers of successful innovation. Take note of that. Customer needs and market demands. So again, it's about marketing. Because if you invented something or innovated something and it's not really that important, or consumers might think, oh, we don't need it, or there it's no use for us, something like that. So would they still buy that one? Of course not. Not unless you will be creating a need, then that's another story. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, we have examples in here, though I already gave some examples earlier. So what are the principles of innovation? Innovation principles exist and can be learned. When combined with opportunity, these principles can empower individuals to innovate. So be action oriented, make it simple and understandable, make it customer focused. So I think it's pretty easy to understand. Customer focused, again, you have to understand your customers, or yeah, the end users, so that you could come up with a very valuable product or service. And start small. Do not do big projects at once. Okay, just start small, but aim high. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. You should always try, test, and revise. I mean, you should not falter, like, or you should not think twice, or you should not. Oh my God, I'm running out of words. You should not be depressed. Um, if you have to revise things or you committed mistakes, because that's it. The most important thing is you have identified the flaws or the problems, and you had the opportunity to fix it. Okay? And of course, learn from failures, follow a milestone schedule. Of course, schedule is very important because you can keep track of how far have you become, right? You also can evaluate yourself, evaluate the measures that you have done, evaluate the project itself, and reward innovative activity, recognize and reward those who are actively seeking and promoting innovation. And of course, work. This is simple but accurate exhortation with which to conclude the innovation principles. It takes work, not genius or mystery, to innovate successfully. So we have the individual activities in here, and we'll be submitting this one next meeting, next week. So um, we have group activity. So divide the class into 4 groups: plastic bottles, any organic material, paper, and wood. Identify real world problems or challenges that need a creative solution. Example, reducing plastic waste in LNU. Okay, there you go. I will be posting the group. Okay. Um, but since you are only few in class, I might just assign two groups for each class. So depends. But let me just check on it. Okay. I'll just be posting on the Google Classroom. Okay, so if you have any questions, just comment your questions or we will be addressing this next meeting. If it is about the lesson, you can ask me next meeting or just drop a question in the comment box. But if there are some concerns regarding the activity, about the group activity, then you can just ask the point person and the point person could message me anytime. Okay, so okay, see you around. That's all. Okay, see you next week.